So this is the update on the cockpit. Last time you saw I had the overhead done. So I've still got the overhead done. What I did do is I added in the side panel there and the side panel on that side. I'm gonna fill this up, the whole gap I had there, with the same stuff I did on here, which is just a foam to fill it in, and then I'll have the felt down on it. And what I did, I've been working on also, was to get my control yoke. There's another guy I talked to, and he showed me how he did his, Brandon. And what I did, because I'm not as good as Brandon was, so what I did was, underneath here I have a 2x4 put on there, and what I did was added another 2x4 here, and then I had a 2x4 running from the back to the front, screwed it up. I put this piece of plywood, I cut it out to match basically the same shape as this. I had it screwed down, but what I did was take these out, which is, simple. They just unscrew, if you can unscrew them, and obviously I can't right now. But this comes out, and as soon as the screw part comes out, this thing pops off. So I drilled a hole in the wood to fit this part, which attached it really nice, and then just did that. So I'm going to put another L bracket, is what I'll do, is I'll put an L bracket on right here, and probably another one right there, just to attach the 2x4 to that 2x4 to give it that little bit more support. And if I have to, I can always add a piece of wood in here just to give it that little bit of support for the back. But as you can see, that when you're sitting in here and you're pulling on it, it is actually pretty sturdy. It does bend a little bit, but since you don't have to use a whole lot of force on it, it does a pretty nice job. I got to put my monitor back in and then hook that up. I still got to cut out the little parts on my, as you can see, I've got it traced out. I just got to cut out the holes for the few buttons that I do have and the LEDs. What I'm probably not going to do is, I thought about it, I might add the clock in on this side. I'm not sure. It definitely is not going to go in on that side. I still have to adjust my landing gear before I do all that, because I have to add some washers and stuff in there and hook that up. In the meantime, I'll probably add the other control yoke, because I do have two control yokes here. But this is just to give you an overview. And another thing I did on this was I added a piece of 1x3, attaching it here and there to give it that little bit of extra support there. On the outside, as you can see, I also added a little bit more support here. So I put this one in going up here, and what I did is, because the board bends so it can't actually touch this, is I added this piece just as a filler, so I had something to screw into, because it doesn't have to really, it's not going to hold any type of support other than this board and the felt, which it worked perfect. The only other thing I did was add a board in, which it fit right in here, and just brought it down here. It's not even actually attached really, it's just holding that board up there. And as you can see, that's how it came out, and I did basically the same thing on this other side. So I still have to get all my switches, and which you can see a couple of them in there. I still have to wire those up to the board that I got, and I'm using, I think it's called a 2040 board from Desktop Aviator to do my switches, because it does up to 20 switches, toggle or rotary switches. I'm trying to see if I can get that to use that circuit board for my landing gear, and I'm not having a whole lot of luck right now, but I also haven't spent as much time as I should trying to get that work. And I know it does work for my toggle switches, because I do have, with the help of a friend who came over, my dad and his friend came over, and we got one switch hooked up just to see if it worked, and it did. But this is how it's going. And what I'm going to do for the felt, because I used spray-on adhesive, and as you can see, it's not holding. It started coming down. So what we figured on doing is I'm going to get a two-sided Velcro and put Velcro strips going there and up on the side. I'm going to get some new felt, because this felt's kind of ruined now, and I'm going to attach it all with Velcro going up around. So that is where I'm at. Hopefully I'll have the second control yoke mounted tonight. I don't know if I do. I don't know if I'll have another video tonight or if I'm just going to wait. But as you can see, you know, that is my seat empty. So this is, it's going a little slower than I first imagined I wanted it to, but you know, you hit your bumps in the road, you gotta make adjustments. For somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, it's not going to look like a real 737, but it is going to be fun to fly. You know, I'll have the switches, I'll have the monitors, a few LEDs. There's a couple of other switches that actually go up on the MIP here that I'm actually not going to buy, and the reason behind that is I figure that if I'm going to save up and buy an actual MIP like my dad has, then there's no reason for me to buy everything else, because it comes with it. He got his MIP and it came with all the switches and everything, which is the same thing I'm going to buy. So I'm just going to use the stuff that he gave me, that he bought. For the meantime, attach it to this, throw some paint down on that, and then I do have, you know, as you can see, my cuts aren't all the greatest, but I do have a trim that I'm going to put around it at the same time, so it will look decent enough to have fun. But that's what's going on for now.